Good morning, everybody. Welcome to what is the last executive at Sedgemoor District Council. I'd just like to take the opportunity to thank all officers and members for their attendance and input over the last few years. And it's good to see that Sedgemoor is still going and firing on all cylinders right up until the very last minute. So thank you for being here today. The meeting is being held via Teams. We'll consider the reports on the agenda and make any recommendations to me, which I will consider after this meeting and decide whether to agree or not in line with the powers vested in me. Over to you, Steve.
Thank you, Leader. In the event of a technical failure, the Leader will adjourn the meeting and a copy of the recording will be available on the Council committee pages within the next few days. The format of the meeting will be as per the published agenda. Back to you, Leader.
Thank you. And I'll just go around the executive and management team just to check that you can see and hear. It would be easier to say if anyone can't see and hear, please let me know, but that seems to defeat the object really. But so I can see and hear. Councillor Slocum.
Thank you. Morning, Leader. Morning, everyone. Yes, I'm Jill Slocum, Deputy Leader, and I can see and hear everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Mike Caswell. It is his birthday today. Councillor Lance Dudridge. He only has a couple of reports on today. Councillor Andrew Gilling.
Good morning, everybody. Yes, I can see and hear everybody. Thank you very much.
Oh, great. Thanks. Good. Councillor Mark Healy.
Yes, good morning, Leader. Good morning, everybody. I can clearly see and hear everything that's going on. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Janet Keane.
Good morning, everyone. So Janet Keane, member for Highbridge. I can see and hear everything clearly. Thank you.
I'm nipping back to, there you are, Councillor Mike Caswell. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm in at last, Leader. I can clearly hear and see everybody.
Thank you very much and happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much.
Right, we'll just go round. Chief Executive.
Morning, everyone. Bob Brown, Chief Executive. I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Deputy Chief Exec.
Good morning, Top Abs, Deputy Chief Executive. I confirm I can hear and see everything.
Mrs. Turner.
Good morning, everybody. Alison Turner, Section 151 Officer. I can confirm I can see and hear everything. Thank you.
Melanie Wellman.
Good morning, everyone. Melanie Wellman, Monitoring Officer. I can confirm I can see and hear everything clearly. Thank you.
We know Steve Taylor can see and hear everything because he's just signalled. And of course, if Simon Tandy can't, then we'll know in a few moments when the reports come up. So, and I'm sure he can. So without further ado, moving on to apologies for absence. Do we have any apologies, Steve?
I haven't been given any, Leader.
Right, no, nor have I. Minutes of the meeting of the 8th of February. Is everyone happy that we confirm them as a true and fair record? Any objections? In that case, that's so moved.
Agreed. Yeah.
Declarations of interest. Any declarations of interest?
Yes, Leader.
Councillor Keane.
Thank you. Anything to do with housing? I'm a member of the Homes and Sedgemoor Board. In particular, item 9, Articles of Association. This is merely a personal interest because in 2 weeks' time, I will cease to be a member of that board anyway, when I cease to be a councillor. And item 10, of course, is included in my first one. I've had nothing to do with that. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. I think they are. Won't inhibit your being able to vote.
Thank you.
Moving on then. Urgent business. Sorry, Councillor Slocum.
Sorry, Leader. Just item 10, personal interest, as it's in I'm the ward councillor where Aspen House is. Thank you.
Right, thank you. In that case, if there are no more declarations, moving on urgent business, I have none. Public speaking time, I have none registered. Thank you. Moving on then to the corporate dashboard. and straight over to Councillor Lance Duddridge to do the introduction. Still not here. Okay, Simon, over to you. Thank you.
Morning, Leader. Thank you very much. Yeah, I don't know where Councillor Duddridge is. It's unlike him to not be here. He may have other urgent business, I guess. So straight onto the dashboard. This is the very final dashboard to come to Sedgemoor's executive. As you mentioned at the beginning, this is the final executive of Sedgemoor District Council. Quite an emotional morning, really, and there's going to be quite a lot of those over the coming couple of weeks, I'm sure. But on saying that, again, it's a pleasure to be able to present such fantastic performance results that I've been doing over the last many years, and over the course of especially the last 2 or 3 years with the pandemic and everything that's been going on with the new authority being created. The fact that our staff have managed to continue to deliver such fantastic services is really something to be lauded, and it's great to be able to show that there are so few actions that are overdue. In fact, at the time of reporting, there were no high-level actions overdue, no audit recommendations overdue, and just a very few operational actions, all of which were being managed in the right way as well, with progress against them and reasons for the delays in their delivery. With performance indicators, we did drop slightly, unfortunately, from Q2, where we managed to have 88% on target. We dropped down to 80% for Q3. However, I can say that over the first 3 quarters of this year, a number of service areas have managed to be on target or surpass their target for all of the quarters reported. So special mention to planning, building control, benefits, monitoring services, which covers Lifeline and CCTV, democratic services, licensing, and private sector housing, all of whom have managed to keep their performance indicators green for the whole year so far. Also, there is one that is reported as off target for Q3, which is abandoned calls within customer services. And a real special mention needs to go to this one, because although it was off target at the end of December, and it had been historically over the course of the last number of quarters, due to various circumstances, mostly due to things like issues around waste and so on, and there being an unprecedented amount of calls. But they've managed to bring it back on target during January and February. And in fact, it was just on target for January, hitting the 5%. But in February, it was right down to 3% of calls abandoned. So it really needs to be mentioned, although it's not Q3, it's part of Q4. It's important that, you know, we have the most up-to-date information presented here. Happy to take any questions, or you know, I'm sure many of you will have very nice things to say about the services as well. So I'll let you all have your say from here.
Yeah, thank you very much, and thank you very much for the honourable mentions of the service areas. And I have to say, whilst those that you've given an honourable mention to have done particularly well, all areas of service within the council have performed well, certainly over the last 3 years. So all credit to them. Members, any comments or questions? Deputy Leader, Councillor Slocum.
Oh, thank you, Leader. I just want to say this is a tantamount to how good this council has run its business. It's an excellent format. It's all throughout the council. It's not just in one area. It's all throughout, which I think is such an amazing thing. Looking at going through all of this yesterday, it's just amazing. So, just want to say I'm so very, very pleased with how well we've done, and we will move into the new council. They have a new council moving in, or they are moving in with us. We could say that maybe in a very, very good position. And I'd like to thank you, Simon, for how well that you kept us all executive members up to scratch with our little notifications if we didn't get the job done. So I'd like to say, really appreciate the hard work you've done. And yeah, this is a great report. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Keane.
Thank you. The question to Simon, and it's really about systems. After the new council is vested, will our switchboard and reception still operate for local residents, particularly the switchboard for telephone calls? Or will that go straight to Taunton?
Janet, if I may, perhaps I'll take that rather than Simon's answer. I think that's a question really for Jerry and Gareth, who are managing those services and are in the work stream about the switch over to those facilities. I'm not certain that Simon's in a position to answer that one for you at the moment.
Thank you. In that case, could I follow up? If it isn't already planned to go into the new system, because you've mentioned volume of calls, which I think every council, every large body simply has this at times. Is there a callback system, an automated one, where a disappointed caller can simply leave their number and a callback will come from the relevant person as and when possible?
Well, in the current arrangements, Janet, sorry.
Yeah, yes. In the new arrangements, it's too late for us.
So, Janet, I'm afraid I don't know what the details of the new arrangements are going to be. They have been working on this comprehensively, so there is a plan to make sure that all the customer services teams are merged into the new authority. They will be meeting the new council standards in terms of responding to customers. The detail of that, I'm afraid, I'm not aware of, but those members who will be members for the new council, I'm sure, will be scrutinising those issues and making sure that all of that's done to the appropriate standard. Unfortunately, we're only in a position to sort of answer.
Yes.
People who we've got on the call at the moment can give you the detail about what we do. The people who are planning for the new authority and those arrangements are not in this call, but you know there are plans to make sure that all of that works seamlessly. Janet, I'm afraid we just don't have the detail of that on this call at the moment, I'm afraid.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, and as I'm sure you can understand, we're all a bit, all those members that, well, all members, I think, and officers that are moving forward with or without the new authority have concerns about the standards that will be provided following vesting day. And I think it's something that taxes the brains of all of us. Members, any other comments or questions on the corporate dashboard? Bob, is your hand a wavy hand? Yep.
It is. Just to make one final point, Duncan, if I may, from an officer perspective on this, just to say thank you for Simon for keeping us focused on these issues, because it's really important that we kept on delivering for our communities and delivering services right up to the last minute. And Simon's done an excellent job. And a thank you to Doug for the business as usual stuff, just making sure that once again we're focused on delivering what we needed to deliver right up to the last day. That was a really important piece of work for us. So between them, they've done an excellent job. So just to say thank you.
Thank you, Bob, and well done, Simon.
Thank you,
I mean, I think we all echo those thoughts and wishes and thanks. Yeah. Okay, then without further ado, then we will move on to agenda item.
Councillor Filmer's got his hand up, I'm afraid, Duncan.
Oh, yes. Yeah, Bob, you've got your hand up.
I have. In actual fact, Bob, the other Bob, just completely stolen my thunder anyway. I was just going to say thank you to Simon for the way he's worked with everyone, particularly obviously in the area I've been working with Jill in sort of planning and development. It's been really, really useful to be able to work with his team as well and himself. The other thing I just wanted to comment on was planning, obviously, but across the board, when you think the extra work that all the officers have been dealing with with the new transfer over to the new authority, to have kept the standards that Sedgemoor has to the level that we always have in the past has been a fantastic effort from everybody. So from us, certainly from me as a member, thank you ever so much for all the work that you've done to keep us on the straight and narrow when there's been an awful lot of stuff going on off screen that people don't realise just how much work has been going on behind the scenes. So thank you all very much.
Yeah, and you've all stolen my thunder, because I was going to say most of this at the next report, but
Yeah.
but never mind. Moving on then to agenda item 7, which is the corporate performance report, Q3. Over to you, Councillor Duddridge. Oh, ship's not back. Okay, then Simon.
I think I just saw some tumbleweed go across the screen. Thanks again, Leader. So again, the corporate performance report, this is more detailing of other things across the whole authority. So as per usual, we look at the financial reports. I mean, if Alison Turner wants to have a word about those at some point during this presentation, she is more than welcome to. But I think the clear thing is that Sedgemoor has and always has seemed to balance the budget, and has continued to do so up until the very end. So that's to be again, used the word in the last report, but really lauded. So well done to the finance team. Carrying on through the report, there's some information on human resources. So we've continued to have a very good record for our sickness absences over the course of the year. If it had been reported for the full year to this executive, which unfortunately it won't be, I'm confident that we would have had a very low sickness absence for this year, and our turnover is rather low as well. So I would like to be able to explain that, but I can't. So I think it's probably just a case of, we're a great authority and we're great to work for, so that's why our turnover has been so low. Grants, it's definitely worth the mention there, because pages 24 to 26 show where we've helped a number of individuals and small companies over the course of the year with project grants, and have managed to spend, all barring about £200 of the budget. Janet may have a word to say about that at some point. And then another final update on Northgate Yard as well, which we've all been able to see with our own eyes, I'm sure. The cinema's now been open for some months, and the bowling alley itself opened, I believe, earlier this month. And we also have information that 2 of the restaurants have been confirmed to be one large peri peri chicken outlet, which I will not mention the name, and the other with a local businessman who is going to be opening a tapas and cocktail bar, which I'm sure some of us will frequent at some point. And the other 2, I believe, are work in progress, with good discussions ongoing with a couple of other companies who will be coming in to fill those restaurants as well. And hopefully the first 2 will be open fairly soon. I'm not sure exactly when, but that will depend on themselves, I'm sure. And then the final part of my report, I think we focused on planning a lot over the years, but for very good reason. And Councillor Filmer kind of mentioned a bit about this in the previous report, but our planning service has been one of the best in the country over the course of the last 5 or 6 years, maybe even more. And that is why our performance reports have continued to focus on those statistics in particular. But barring one quarter last year, we have had 100% of our major applications delivered within the target time for the course of the last almost 7 years. So, you know, that is something very, very special for Sedgemoor to be very proud of. I think at this stage, I'll ask for comments and questions. I see Mr. Lane has just entered the call, so it's quite good timing because we would go over to the Homes in Sedgemoor part very soon. But I think I'll field questions and comments first, and then if we can pass over to Mr. Lane. Thank you.
Right, thank you. And just before we go to the hands that are up at the moment, just to say, you know, many of this work has been done in the face of adversity, and as you said before, with business as usual going on, as well as the change and the forthcoming vesting day work. And it is a true accolade to all members of staff that we've managed to maintain standards. Of course, planning's just a little bit disappointing that they dipped in one quarter and ruined their straight good results. But you know, we have to live with these things, and no doubt we'll get over it in time. And I'll go straight first then to Mrs. Turner.
Thank you, Lisa. I thought, as it's the last financial monitor, I'd just make a comment in terms of the finances. I mean, this does take us up to the end of December, but clearly we've been monitoring those really, really closely as we go into the new council. And we're with two weeks left of this financial year. We're looking at an underspend going forward, mainly due to increased income levels. We've just had some figures through on the business rates pooling where we've again exceeded our budget, which I think we've done that every year with our performance on business rates. So just to say, we're going to be going into the new council with taking in significant balances and a good healthy financial picture. And I think that, you know, that's testament to the senior management team, but also the executive in terms of the way we've managed the finances over the last 5 years, I guess, and our approach to the managed use of balances to make sure that we could deliver our ambitions, but also had robust balances going forward, which will certainly help the new council with the potential budget issues they've got for 24-25.
Thank you. And all done without a reduction in output from the council. In fact, actually increasing the work that we've done in the community at that time. Good news, underspend. It's a pity we can't spend it, but there you go. No doubt the new council will be prudent with its balances and look to maintain as many services as it can. I'll go to the deputy leader now, Jill.
Thank you, leader. Yeah, I'd just like to say a lot of things, really, a number of things. Hope you don't mind. Obviously, the North Gate, immense pride in the North Gate. All the work, Doug, Bob, everyone's done. Duncan, immense pride. Mark and I were very lucky to be part of the entourage with the chairman of council to open up the bowling, and we had a very good morning there, and we tried out everything, even the karaoke. And do you know what? It was a nice morning, but actually sense of pride there that we've got this over the line before the vesting day, and it was down to a lot of hard work, and obviously all the added bits that will come into this, and they will complement it. So a great time, and we're very, very pleased. Planning, I'm as portfolio holder immensely proud of planning. Under Bob Filmer's leadership has been incredible. And I have to say, we're very fortunate, Bob and I, that we will go for, well, I'm fortunate that Bob's going, to be fair. We're going on to the North planning. So we will be looking after planning in the North. So that will be good. I'd also like to say thank you to Mrs. Turner, who kept the finances in an amazing condition. And I have to say, I do hope to see you in the new council, because you will definitely be needed. But thank you so much for what you've done. It's important that we do maintain our high standards throughout, and as Duncan has said, that is absolutely important. And the members that will go forward know how well we've done in Sedgemoor. We'll make sure and will scrutinise, as Councillor Keane had mentioned earlier, we will scrutinise those areas where we know we did well, Why aren't they? If they're not, why aren't they? And we will work on that. Housing repairs, I'm really pleased. It's always my beef, Simon, about housing repairs. So good to see housing repairs in Q3 in such a good state. I thank Homes in Sedgemoor for that as well. Great, it's one of my beefs that residents have got a good standard of homes, and I'm very, very pleased about that. But I'd like to thank everyone really, because I think this is, again, as I said, it's a good time to mention the standard of Sedgemoor District Council. And we've had Melanie there who's looking over to make sure we do it right. Thank goodness I've had Melanie. I don't know what I've done. So, thank you very much.
Thank you. And I'll go to Mark, and then I'll go to Janet.
Yes, thank you, Leader, and thank you, Deputy Leader, for completely stealing all my thunder, of course.
Sorry.
Seems to be as mornings, doesn't it? But I'd like to make mention clearly of Northgate Yard, which was completely correct. It was a thoroughly enjoyable day. Hats off to everybody that's business people that's put their faith in Sedgemoor and in Bridgewater alone. Excellent day, excellent stuff going in the background. And what I'd like to say, Leader, through you, if I may, isn't it nice to prove those who are sceptical around us about the Northgate Yard project, they've been proved totally wrong. So as we go forward, and there was mention of in Yeovil, of course, of the theatre there at £29 million, but who's going to that place? But again, somebody said to me, what a waste of money this Northgate project was. How dare they say that, ladies and gentlemen, when it's been a complete success? So just wanted to say thank you to everybody involved. Thank you, Doug. Thank you, Bob, Duncan, obviously, Jill, etc., and all those in the background, because you know what flagship are we leaving behind going forward with the new Somerset Council? So enough from me, but thank you, Leader, for listening to me and everybody else. Thank you.
No, thank you. The only thing about the Northgate development that I would like to mention is it would be nice to get rid of that awful box in the back car park with the steel arras fencing around it. It does really let down the site at the moment, but I'm sure it will go in good time. Councillor Keane.
Thank you, Leader. As Simon mentioned, grants. In previous months, in various contexts, we've talked about the legacy that we'll be leaving for Sedgemoor. And here we have and will have left a living legacy. We've had children we've supported to £500 each who have been involved with specialist training for different sporting activities. They are the lasting legacy for many years to come. And then there are the volunteers, without whom the quality of life of so many people would be so much poorer. We owe to them more than just the money that we've given them. And behind the scenes, Teresa Harvey's team, Julie and the PA Lisa, and Christy, all of them, they've gone above and beyond in helping the people who wish to apply, to get their criteria right, to keep on the right and narrow. We've only been able to hold receptions for those in the last year or so, but over the last 4 years, the service to the community that our volunteers have given would be very difficult to quantify, because there is so much of it. And as a council, for our good name and our reputation, we owe them, and the community owes the volunteers. So I can only say thank you, and thank you to all the staff behind the scenes. Our solicitor, who's kept us on the straight and narrow at grants meetings when we have got confused. So I think we are leaving a legacy that's going to last for decades, because it's in people's memories. It's a living legacy. And thank you all behind the scenes. That's all I want to say.
Thank you. It's beginning to sound like Oscar speech day, isn't it, really? But yeah.
I was thinking that.
We can do better than the Oscars.
Yeah. We'll be going for world peace in a minute, but I think that's even beyond Sedgemoor at the moment. But it's nice to hear. Also, it was nice to hear the feedback from the capital grants that you delivered. Was it last weekend, about 10 days ago? I mean, that has been
last Thursday.
Last Thursday, well met and very, very popular with people. So that again is a lasting legacy. So thank you. before we move on to homes in Sedgemoor, I think I'll probably just say, I mean, I visited a prominent local council in the southeast of the country not so long ago. In fact, it may have been last week, actually. It was interesting to note the problems they had as they've been unable to adopt a local plan for the last 4 years, and the difficulties that has provided them with, and also the fact that they were particularly proud of the fact that they got Pentana, and they were monitoring their 165 actions that they had for the council. It was just unfortunate that whilst the Pentana list was populated, nobody had updated it in the last 18 months. So it had limited use, and as a council, they had very little idea of where they were with any particular area within the council. So it was actually nice to see Pentana actually working when it's used properly. And thank you to Simon for that, because I know there has in the past been a bit of badgering to do with service areas, but I think it's paid dividends, and you can't tell where you're going unless you know where you are, and that's clearly we know where we are, and hopefully we'll be going into the new council to set the standards for excellence. So thank you very much. Right, moving on to Ben and Homes in Sedgemoor. Welcome, Ben.
Thank you, Leader, and good morning, everybody. Hopefully you've got in front of you as part of the report, the Homes in Sedgemoor Q3 performance, providing in summary format for yourselves with the full suite of KPIs available should that be required. You'll see on the summary that the classification of our 49 KPIs that make up our suite across the different component parts, being either those KPIs that sit within the management agreement or KPIs that we've identified as strategic objectives, or those that are thought to be operational. The report identifies highlights as we see it in the previous quarter, and shines a torch on some of those areas where we've been achieving some high performance, and also where we've had some challenges. A significant number of the KPIs relate to customer satisfaction. We were very pleased in November to record almost across the board some of the highest satisfaction levels in the current 22-23 year. The satisfaction results dipped back in December, which follows sort of trends that we've experienced in previous month, but I think overall we've got a pretty solid set of customer satisfaction results for the period up to the end of December cumulatively, when compared to the the available information, benchmark information available across the sector. We've included in this particular report an analysis on our ASB cases that we're managing. We have ASB cases per 1,000 properties that actually is in the sort of upper quartile. That's to say it's a low number compared to other participants in the benchmarking exercise. Our income management continues to be sort of sector leading in terms of both the tenant rent arrears and the rent collected as well. And I think in spite of the impact of cost of living pressures on our tenants, I think through the good support that we provide those tenants, we've managed to maintain some excellent results in respect of our income management rates. Areas that have perhaps provided a bit more of a challenge in this particular year is concerned to what we refer to as voids. And this is in respect of the average time that it's taking for us to relet properties. Some of those properties are held specifically as what we refer to as policy voids. So this may be, for example, in Lascaux House, where we are intentionally holding back from reletting some properties to enable heating works to conclude, and also to enable us to address bed bug issues that we've been managing at that particular property. Other voids, the reasons for delays are due to the significant work that we found on a number of properties that are required to be completed before they're available for relet. And we also experienced some difficulties in reletting some voids, particularly in the sheltered sort of schemes. And again, we're assessing as part of a wider review the reasons that might sit behind that. The one key area of performance, which I think the 2 or 3 sentences in the report doesn't really do justice, is our what is now 19 consecutive months of green compliance in respect of our overall compliance environment. So this is externally assessed. That green rating hopefully gives assurance to Sedgemoor of the good work that goes on under that very important area of our operation. So we're absolutely delighted to be able to continually report that overall measure as green. Some other references made in the reports, again, of interest. You would no doubt have heard of the tenant satisfaction measures, these new measures that are coming into place in April, a mechanism through which nationally providers will be held to account and, if you like, have data consolidated into other sector performances to shine a torch on how the sector is performing across 22 different measures. We're all geared up and ready for that data to be collected, and we've given the TSMs the right high profile that's required in our 23-24 KPIs to ensure that we're we've got all the right eyes looking at the performance in that regard. Final bit on the report, you'll see that we continue to participate in what they refer to as the Housemarque Pulse benchmarking exercise. So this is an exercise conducted by Housemarque, pretty much the leader in the sector in terms of data analysis. So we provide information to them monthly. This gives us information across 15 KPIs in terms of how we're providing month on month, or how we're performing, sorry, month on month compared to some of our peers in the sector. We've got, of those 15, there's 4 areas that are identified in the report that put us in the upper quartile when compared to the other areas of those participants who've submitted information. The annex that accompanies it gives you the kind of breakdown we receive back from Housemarque with our performance information annotated onto it, so you can see where we sit across those 15 measures. Housemarque will be continuing with our pulse benchmarking going into 23-24, slightly tweaking the list of KPIs that they'll be gathering information on, with one strong eye on the tenant satisfaction measures that I mentioned before. And we will look to continue to participate in that sort of voluntary process because we feel that the information that it provides us is really valuable. So I think those are the headlines that I would like to go through with you. Obviously, I'll take any specific questions that anybody might have and see if I can hopefully address those for you.
Great, thank you very much, Ben. I mean, looking back, certainly after a bit of a shaky start in discovery, certainly turned around a bit, and certainly from the feedback I've been getting from some tenants, there's been a marked improvement in the standard of service over the years, and long may it continue. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Members, any comments or questions? Councillor Slocum. Silent, Slocum.
Thank you. Oh, you'd love to say that. Unmute me. Yeah, I just like to say, obviously, you know, like I said, tenant repairs, that kind of thing has always been very uppermost in my mind, and I am glad to see those figures have got to a good standard, and it is important. It is so important. So I'm very, very pleased with how things are going, and let's look forward to the future with the same standard, high standard. Mustn't lose that.
No, I agree. Thank you. Thank you.
Councillor Gelling. Andrew, is there anyone there? Andrew, if you are there, you're on mute. Okay, moving along for the. Oh, you are.
Yep. Yes,
you're there.
Switch failure. I just wanted to pass on my congratulations to the team at Homes in Sedgemoor. It's been a joy working with them, and I think that they've done an extremely good job. We've been through a few years of turbulence, I should say, is the easy way, the answer to it. But nevertheless, we've now come through that storm. We've now got a management team that's in well placed to continue the good work. And I'm delighted to see that the model of homes in Sedgemoor will be perpetrated throughout the new authority. I'm desperately disappointed that housing doesn't have quite the image and or I'm struggling for the right word. Yeah, the right image and the right model that other authorities could be following. I hope that with Taunton Deane and West Somerset, or SWAT, I should say, will pursue that management team and ethos. But housing has got to be one of the core pillars within the organisation that we are now shifting towards. And I congratulate them all for their hard work.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank
you. I mean, I think to sum it up, I think certainly the executive and many members have confidence in Homes in Sedgemoor and its ability to deliver, which is not something that can be said about many arm's length management organisations around the country or many housing authorities at the moment. Yeah, so well done. Thank you. Members, any other comments or questions? No. Okay, then just before we conclude, I will say I would love to have got to the Northgate Yard bowling opening, but after having 2 bouts of flu, I was reluctant to put myself in the situation where I might get a 3rd bout, having known exactly what Mark is going through at the moment. So I really didn't want to do that again. So yeah, so my apologies for not being there, and no doubt I will be up there chucking a ball down at some point. So yeah, thank you. Right, moving on then, and thank you very much, Ben, for your attendance at these meetings, and hopefully look forward to seeing you at some point in the future. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. Right, members, moving on then to agenda item 8, which is a local authority housing fund. 22, 23, 23, 24, and we've got Councillor Gilling to start off. Who's having switch problems. In that case, we'll go straight. Yep, you're there.
I'm good on now, thank you. The report recommends that the Executive Council enters into a MOU, or a Memorandum of Understanding, with the Department of Levelling Up and Housing, and the receiver authority, LAHF, before the 1st of April 2023, vesting day, I presume. And it's recommended that we approve the MOU with the Department of Levelling Up and Housing, that we can receive on the 22nd and 23rd of tranche before this 1st of April of this coming year. I'm hoping that that's made itself relevant or regular, and I'm sure you're all familiar with the report.
Yeah, perfectly clear. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Straight over to David then, David Baxter. Thank you for your attendance today.
It's fine, thank you, Leader. Yes, as Councillor Gilling said, the government's providing funding for councils to purchase properties for refugees in the districts. So it's a collaboration between Sedgemoor, Somerset West and Taunton, and Mendip. The only district that didn't get any funding was South Somerset. To draw down the funding for the first tranche, as Councillor Gilling has said, we need to sign. The districts need to sign the memorandum of understanding with Department of Levelling Up Housing and Communities. You will note from the report there is a financial risk, as not all the match funding has been identified so far, but obviously that risk will fall with Somerset Council, as they're the ones who will take the purchases forward.
Yeah, right, thank you. Yeah, I don't think there's a lot anyone can say. I mean, the houses are needed. The only thing I would say is that the publicity around this needs to be carefully managed, so that local residents don't feel that they're being bypassed in order to provide accommodation for people from outside of the area. So it's a delicate matter, but one that's greatly needed. Members, officers, any comments or questions? Councillor Slocum. We'll just enjoy the silence.
Sorry, I'm so sorry. I'm trying to be good here. The memorandum of understanding, is that being signed by us before it transcribes over to the new council? Is that how it's working?
Yes.
Thank you. That's the bit I didn't quite understand who was signing that. Okay, thank you. So we just got to keep our finger on the pulse to make sure that they're going to deliver, aren't we?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay, thank you. Thank you.
Right, members, any other comments or questions? The recommendation is to approve. Then, are there any objectors? Any absenters? Mr. Taylor.
Yes, Leader, that's clearly carried. So that's a recommendation to you to approve the signing of a memorandum of understanding in order to receive the tranche funding for the 1st of April.
Thank you. I shall give it due deliberation following the conclusion of this meeting. Thank you. Moving on then to the next item, which is the Articles of Association, Homes in Sedgemoor. And we'll go to Councillor Gilling first.
Thank you, Leader. Oops, still switched.
No, you're not.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, we can hear you.
I didn't mute myself for a change, which is unusual. If I can find it on the screen. And to repeat the executive summary, the purpose of this report is to approve the amended Articles of Association for Homes in Sedgemoor, to be implemented on the 1st of April 2023, vesting day, and to approve the amended Articles of Association for Homes in Sedgemoor to take effect from the 1st of April. And I beg to move that recommendation, Leader, if that's in order. Are we happy with that, Leader?
Yep, sorry, I just lost a bit of connection then. So, yep, thank you.
Fine, thank you.
Thank you. Right, Chief Exec, Deputy Chief Exec, any comments?
I think it's a fairly straightforward proposal, Leader. Just support Homes in Sedgemoor for the new environment to be able to make sure their board is competent and properly arranged. So that's what it says on the tin.
Yep.
Ben, any comments at all?
Nothing from me other than to sort of say I think it's the sort of final sort of piece of the sort of jigsaw of a full kind of governance framework review that we've been going through over the last 18 months, and the refresh of the articles hopefully is the sort of final piece that hopefully, as Bob has said, will position us quite well going forward in terms of our ability to recruit and have the right board members on our board from the 1st of April going forward. So.
Right, brilliant. Councillor Slocum.
I just wanted to say really thank you to Dave Baxter, really. Always has due diligence, always is very exacting. And thank you for the work that's been done on this, because obviously it's important that everything's in place for Homes in Sedgemoor. So thank you, Dave. So thank you.
Amen.
Right then, members, if there's no other comments or questions, says he coughing. The recommendation is to approve the amended Articles of Association for Homes in Sedgemoor to take effect from the 1st of April 2023. Are there any objectors to that? Any abstentions? Then Mr. Taylor.
Yes, he does. So that's clearly carried in a recommendation to you to approve the amended Articles of Association for Homes in Sedgemoor take place from the 1st of April.
Thank you. Right, members, moving on then to the agenda item 10, which is Aspen Housing Development Limited Business Plan 23-24. Clearly, we want this to continue as an entity, but perhaps slightly managed in a different way. But without further ado, I'll hand over to Mrs. Turner.
Thank you, Lisa. I haven't got a lot to add to the report, really. I think the financial analysis in Appendix A, shows that the business is making a profit. So financially, they're on target. There hasn't been any significant changes to the business plan going forward. So nothing really to add. Bob, Doug might have something they want to add in terms of being sort of directors of the company at this stage. Thank you.
Thank you. Doug, Bob, Doug.
Thank you, leader. I think Alison summarises it. We believe this puts the Aspen company in a good position going forward. We significant changes that Holmes and Sedgemoor will be managing the property on the company's behalf from here on in. We're very close to agreeing that, which I think puts it on a good footing going on to the new council, which of course will become the owner. So we think this is a good basis, and we hope that you can agree with us that it shows a good place this company is in. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, my feeling is it's just tidying up one of those few loose ends left in order that things can properly function in their new role in the new environment. Bob, is there anything you wish to add?
No, you've summed it up nicely, leader and Doug. It's de-risking the future of this organisation to make sure that it can continue to put some money back into the coffers and defray the cost of running the council for the new authority.
Right, thank you. Okay. And I've got to say, what a good decision many years ago it was to venture into this area of commercial property purchasing and how well it's gone, despite those naysayers around at the time. So it's certainly provided a good income for the council throughout the years in order to help us maintain a great raft of good services. So members, the recommendation is to approve the business plan before you. Are there any against? Are there any abstentions? Mr. Taylor.
Yes, leader. So that's clearly carried to approve the Aspen Housing Development Limited Business Plan 2023-2024, and that's a recommendation to you, leader.
Thank you. A recommendation I will consider very carefully. Right, moving on then to agenda item 11, which is write-off approval of debts greater than £4,000 in the current fiscal year, not dissimilar to previous reports that we've had. But without further ado, I hand over to Anne-Marie Hardy. Welcome.
Good morning, everybody. It's the putting forward the exec write-offs for the financial year from April through to March 2023. Hopefully it should be fairly self-explanatory. As normal, these are the debts where we've done everything we possibly can to try and recover the money. Quite a few of them are following insolvency. Quite a few of them are also because people have passed away. So it's asking for approval for these debts over £4,000 to be put forward for write-off.
Right, thank you. And I particularly like the coding, the colouring and the initialing so that it's particularly clear.
Thank you. I thought it looked nice.
Oh, it looks very pretty. Oh, actually tells you what you need to know, which is even better. So thank you very much for that.
Tells you what you need to know without the faff.
Yeah. Members, any comments or questions? I will just make the point that whilst these debts are being written off, should they become recoverable at a later date, then I'm sure the revenues team will make every effort to recover. Councillor Slocum.
Oh, you answered my question. Thank you, leader. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. I hate write-offs. I do. I always have done, but I can. The time it takes to try to get them, I can see that's counterproductive as well. So thank you for that. It would be good to know that if they were found at the later stage, and that's it's a bit reassuring. But it's very difficult what to do one way or the other, isn't it? But a lot of work, I should imagine. So thank you.
Thank you. Right. Any other comments or questions? Or members happy to go to the vote? Yep. Okay. The recommendation to approve. Are there any against? Are there any abstentions? Doing well today. Mr. Taylor.
Yes, Leader, that's clearly carried. That's a recommendation to you to approve for write-off the debts greater than £4,000 in Appendix A.
Thank you. Right, then moving on, I think
Thank
it's thank you very much, Anne-Marie, and thank you for all your input in recent years on this, and yeah.
You're more than welcome. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you. Moving on then to agenda item 12, energy refit. Oh, we have got Chris Trevelyan here. Good. Councillor Gilling.
Thank you, Leader. Energy refit is an important thing for all properties. As we know, this last few months we've been through a very traumatic time providing energy and heat for its occupants. And the report seeks members' approval for awarding a contract to the successful contractors who tendered for an energy retrofit to all service. And the successful companies will provide retrofit installers, contractors to carry out installations of measures to insulate and heat the houses of homes of the vulnerable and low income, and also able to pay off households. The work will be initially identified through PS 035 through qualified assessors. The contract will form part of a framework of the framework, and the recommendations to approve the award of this contract to accepted contractors, and I beg to move, sir.
Thank you. Without further ado, we'll go over to Chris Trevelyan, who I'm sure has got something to say about the report. Chris.
Thank you very much. I mean, Councillor Andrew Gilling summarised that very well. Yeah, just to touch on a few points, really. It's a perfect fit in terms of doing retrofit as part of the SIP services because of our role, both in terms of disabled adaptations and our role with helping and assisting people with essential repairs to their home, because predominantly our client group are the vulnerable and low-income families, whereby they're struggling already with their energy bills in any case and heating their homes. And as our role as a local housing authority, as will be in the new council, we have to mitigate and reduce category 1 and 2 risks under the Housing Act. And predominantly, a lot of properties fell, particularly in the age categories that we work with, in the sort of Victorian accommodation and 30s properties. They already have poor insulation and poor heating. So this fits quite well with our client group that we're already approaching. Just to point out as well, it's Council getting 7 contractors as opposed to 6. And the framework will operate over a 5-year period. And we offered 16 lots to our different contractors in forms of insulation, external wall, internal wall insulation, cavity wall, loft insulation, and various forms of heating, including air source heat pumps. So those 7 contractors came back to us and offered their services on the lots, except 2 lots which nobody applied for. But in those instances, they're low-level stuff anyway, which is good. And we will go out to tender each time for those. The project needs to fit well within our Sustainable Warmth Hugs 2, which I'm grateful to Bob to sign off this morning for the second part, which is worth £8 million. And the framework will give assurances to government that we will deliver the scheme, because already we've delivered somewhere in the region of £3 million and assisted 261 households with insulation and heating, an initial cost of a standard average cost of £12,000. So it's been a good productive schemes that we've done so far, but there has been some funding which has had to go back to government, and the reason for that is because when you're stacking up contractors and there's not a huge number of contractors out there to deliver work, it does leave you with a shortcoming in respect to them getting all the work done. So this project, this framework, is designed to ensure that the targets in Hugs 2, which are 400 properties, can be properly accounted for and managed by our contractors. So the final thing I would like to say is that the big core value within this contract is social value, and that's about driving up local skills, particularly amongst SMEs, and increasing that capacity. And already working with Caroline, Derek, and already some of the contractors, which although aren't aware they've been awarded this yet, are working with us on the other contracts. They're already scaling up with local SMEs now, particularly with external wall insulation, because some of them are cladding companies who, if they pass past 2035, would be able to help us to deliver these. And I'd like to point out that, in terms of the climate change strategy and the new council's climate change strategy, domestic dwellings account for approximately 40% of the United Kingdom's CO2 emissions. So if we're looking at net zero by 2050, then we're hopefully going some way to be able to improve that through this particular scheme. So there, thank you. I'm just open to any questions.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to becoming one of the vulnerable in a couple of weeks' time. Councillor Slocum.
Thank you, Leader. Chris, obviously this is a great grant, and obviously we're really, really pleased to get this for obviously the vulnerable and the adaptations to their homes. It's as part of the adult social care plan. This will actually integrate with that really, really well. Will residents be informed of the new contractor? It's a minor point, but there are lots and lots of bogus contractors out there at the moment. Residents are getting calls, residents are getting knocks on the door. They might assume it's the regulated contractor, and actually it may not be. So will you be, all our residents going to be told what contractor will be coming, what works will be done officially with a letter, as opposed to emails, which most of them have got?
Yeah, thank you, Councillor Slocum. Thank you for your comments. Very valid question. The unlike Eco4, whereby we have a statement of intent and contractors can see that statement, cold call clients, with Hugs, it's very controlled in the sense that we target the clients. We've already identified them. We work with them. Our assessors go out and make the assessments personally, and they also introduce the contractors. So with Hugs 2, Hugs 1, there were 82 clients who are identified for the project. With Hugs 2, there's 400, and those 400 have already been identified, and the assessments have already begun. So by the time the contractors engage with the clients, the initial assessments will have been done, and then we'll be moving to introductions. And as I say, our assessor goes out with the contractor and meets the clients individually, so they introduce them.
Oh, it's marvellous. Thank you very much, Chris. Thank you very much for the good work. Thank you.
Personable approach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you.
I mean, one of the things that we can't do anything about is the speculative calls that people get on the telephone, and sometimes knocking at the door to say they have been authorised by, or they are working with, and that isn't always the case, and that's very confusing for many people. Right.
So I was going to say it's a very valid point, because I think that what we tend to find, we don't publicise Eco4 other than the statement of intent, which is published because that's a requirement. But with Hugs, we don't make it too well known, because people cotton on to that and use that as saying that we're endorsing a scheme when we're not. So we keep it quite low profile for the delivery.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you. Right, members. The recommendation is to approve awarding of the contract. Are there any objectors? Any absenters? In that case, Mr. Taylor.
Yes, Leader. Yes, Leader, that's clearly carried. That's a recommendation to you to approve the award of the contracts to accepted contractors.
Thank you. Thank you. Right. Now, moving on, we now come to agenda item 13. Is it the wish of the executive that we enter a part B item, which is not for publication by virtue of part 1 of Schedule 12A of the Local Government Act 1972 as amended?
So moved.
So moved, yeah.
Any objections? Right. Therefore, on the nod from Mr. Taylor, when all members of the public have gone, we will continue. Are we clear?
All clear, Leader.
Thank you. In that case, then we come to agenda item 13, new council houses, which is the HRA pre-tender budget request for £2,615,430 by Sedgemoor District Council for the construction of 11 new rented council homes. Councillor Gilling.
Thank you, Leader. This has always been an aspiration of mine that we should provide as many council-owned properties as possible. We need to be able to provide a respectable and decent homes standard housing stock for all of our residents. And it's my strong view that housing is the most critical pillar within our core strategies. So I believe that we should support this particular request for £2,615,430 from the HRA pre-tender budget request. And I'm hoping that we can move forward with a satisfactory answer to this particular request. And I congratulate the team for their efforts on providing housing across the district. Any further questions? I'm sure whomsoever is following this report, Mr. Harvey, I'm hoping is online.
It's myself, Councillor Gilling.
Yeah, Nick Draper is here with us. Nick.
Beg your pardon, sorry, I didn't see you there. I haven't got a line up, but never mind, that's excellent. So if we can move on to, if I move that recommendation, Leader.
Yep, thank you. We'll let Nick speak. Yep.
Thank you. Yep.
Thank you, Councillor Gilling. Thank you, Chairman. Morning, everybody. So this report proposes a pre-tender budget request for £2.6 million. This is the council's next scheme off the back of Penley House and the Sedgemoor garages already on site and moving forward. So this is the next scheme, which will provide 11 new council houses. And within the details, the proposal set out to provide 4 one-bedroom houses, 5 two-bed houses, and 2 3-bedroom houses. And we're aspiring on this scheme, as we have with our other ones, to aspire to meet our zero carbon targets. That's very important to the local authority. There will be some enhancements to the general area that we're looking to develop, including works to the pond boundaries that back onto the site, and also to the allotments as well. So the increased biodiversity on the site is one of our key principles for this scheme as well. In terms of the financial aspects of the scheme, we are looking for the loan to be repaid within 50 years, which it does. It breaks even on year 49, and the revenue exceeds costs in year 3. So these meet our financial criteria for the scheme and prove to be a viable, creditable scheme that we hope will be supported by everybody. If anybody's got any questions.
All right, members, any comments or questions? I will just say we need housing. This is an excellent way of providing it to people after many years of not providing or increasing provision over the years, and it's certainly a welcome scheme. Councillor Slocum.
Yeah, ditto, really, Leader. Had we still been in operation, we'd have carried on like this in a big way. This was our vision, and we would have been able to do this. So great work, Nick, great work. And yeah, can't wait for it. So well done.
And I excuse me, I must say, I tend to compare with other local authorities sometimes, which is really naughty. But I've got to say, the professional way in which our team and the reports are written, and the confidence I can have in our reports is quite unusual in the area, having recently come back, as I said, from somewhere which had a scheme which was for £46 million worth of council housing, with a payback time of 49 years and 11 months, with no actual proper certified costing against the project. I certainly had no confidence in the figures that were being presented to members of that authority, unlike the figures that are being presented to us today. And I'm very grateful for that comfort that you, Nick, and Duncan Harvey and the team have given over the years. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
Councillor Gilling, have you got your hand up?
I have, Leader, and I wanted to resist my thunder being stolen by your last comments. It's been, throughout my years working with St. Sedgemoor and the housing department particularly, it's been an absolute pleasure working with the team that have provided all the excellent service that they have done so. And I believe, without any proof to statistic to back it up, that we are possibly one of the better ones in the country for provision of housing for its residents. Certainly, I'd like to compare ourselves with the planning department, who are certainly high senior members of the top quartiles of the planning department of planning systems. And I believe that the team that operate out of Sedgemoor are an extremely efficient and dedicated team, and I think they are to be congratulated, and I wish them well for the future and hope that they can carry on with their excellent work in the future.
Yeah, we have to remember, fully endorse all of that. We have to remember that the planning team did let themselves down in one quarter.
I wouldn't dream of criticising the other departments.
We shouldn't forget that. And equally, I think all teams within the council have operated over the years with a great deal of enthusiasm and caring for what they're actually doing, which is brilliant. Right, members, the recommendation is as before you. Are there any against? Abstentions? Mr. Taylor.
Yes, Leader, that's clearly carried. So it's a recommendation to you, conditional upon Somerset Council's agreement after the 1st of April and the granting of planning permission to approve the scheme's proposals and financial business case, and to recommend full council commit a budget of £2,615,430 for the construction of 11 new council homes as set out in the report. Thank you, Leader.
Thank you. Yeah, and I should have pointed out that it is a recommendation to council. Right, members, there is no further business. I'd just like to make the personal comment that it's been absolutely great being the leader of the executive over the years. I have thoroughly enjoyed every moment of it, and I've been grateful for your support or not over the years. It certainly made for an excellent product and a great fun, and I certainly think we've achieved a great amount over those years, and I thank you all for your support and being there. Thanks. Mike, you want to say something?
Well, Duncan, you just about chose my thunder. Can I, on a personal note, can I thank you and the officers of Sedgemoor for your help and or can I say friendship? You've been a brilliant bunch, and I really, really respect the way that you've led this council over the last years since I've been a councillor, and the 20 odd years that I was an officer. You've always been there for us, and can I say we always had the ultimate trust in you. So thank you very much.
Thank you. That means a lot. Thank you. Councillor Slocum.
Agreed.
Yeah, I know this is going to sound like the Oscars, Duncan, and you're going to have to forgive everyone, but this is a very sad day, and but you have been wonderful. My worst times in my life over the last 4 years as being your deputy is when, unfortunately, you have not had the best of health. And sometimes when you haven't been here, I can see the look on everyone's faces like, oh God. But I've tried to do it. Never will reach the high standard of you, because you are quite unique, and you have led us very, very well. You've been very explanatory. And for me personally, I think with the executive and with the complex issues, you've been able to explain and make us all, help us all to understand, which I think is really good. We have been a great team. I think we are a good team. Or slightly smaller than we would hoped at the minute, but we are a good team. And yeah, it's not executives. I've watched the new executives, and I have to say, I shouldn't say it because this is a naughty point, Melanie. I know you're going to say it. It's not held as well as ours. So yeah, but there we are. But thank you, Doug.
No, I thought you were going to say I'd been very patient with you, but
well, no, you haven't been. No, to be fair, but you were right in every way.
Thank you. Right, Bob Brown.
Just in a similar vein, to be very frank, as it is the last executive, I think. Can I just say thank you to you, Leader, for leading the executive the way that you have, and the dedication and the application that you've brought to it, and to all members of the executive. It's been a pleasure working with you. In order to make good decisions, in order to make a difference to the communities we serve, there needs to be a real partnership between members and officers, between the executive and senior officers, and in fact all the officer teams, because you set the political direction, you set that strategic direction for the organisation. It's for us to deliver on those ambitions that you set, which we do in collaboration. I think it's been a very good relationship, and the success has been demonstrated in the way that we've delivered for those communities. So, whether it's Northgate, whether it's the outcomes on Hinckley, the improvements that have been made in terms of the amount of jobs that we've got, the quality of the jobs, the training and development that's gone on, and those other core services that people don't give local authorities credit for. The housing benefit and the way that's performed in the way that it has. So your support's been critical to that, and the rest of the executive. And just finally, if I can say thank you to Doug, Alison, Melanie, Democratic Services, Steve as the representative today, who are regularly at these meetings, provide that support, and have made this a really excellent working relationship that's done what local government's meant to do: improve the lives of those people that they serve. So Duncan, thank you very much. Members of the executive, thank you very much, and to management team and those who support the executive, Melanie and Steve, thank you again.
Thank you. Well said, Bob. Andrew Gilling. Andrew, do you want to say something?
No,
You're on.
Sorry, is my hand still up, or is it just a legacy hand?
Oh,
but beyond that, I wanted to add my comments to those that have already been made, and that it's been a pleasure working with Sedgemoor. I joined this authority on the auspices of the late lamented Alan Ham, who, in answer to my inquiry, said, to how many meetings a year does it meet? Oh, not many was the answer. How wrong could he have been? But it has been a delight and a pleasure.
I think I said something similar to the deputy leader at one point.
He did. He did. He did.
Mr. Bamsey.
Thank you, Leader. Words well said by Bob and absolutely endorsed by me. It's an enormous pleasure and privilege it has been being part of the team. And when I say team, I think one of the real strengths of Sedgemoor is the team between members and officers and across the councillors' offices. And I think the transformational change we've brought about in Sedgemoor, we haven't finished, the job isn't finished, and we'd be carrying on it were it not for changes which we didn't bring upon ourselves. But fundamentally, it's enormously achieved and positive. And I think your leadership, Duncan, has been very, very significant over such a long period. It's amazing how long it is, but fundamentally and supported by the executive. But as I say, such a privilege and actually good fun. We've really had a good time, I think, in delivering this, which it has to be. We have to enjoy things when you do them, and I think we certainly have. So I think we can look back very proudly about what we've achieved, and indeed what we've laid the basis for going forward, which I think is equally important. So thank you very much, everybody on the call, and say enormous, what a great way to end. Classic, very good performance continuing at Simon's Show, because this council delivers as a whole, everybody does. So thank you very much, and well done, and I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Good. Yeah, I mean, it's twinged with sadness, the fact that we won't be meeting in this format again. But, I think I also ought to say thank you to Democratic Services, Monitoring Officer and the 151 Officer, all of which without we couldn't have put together meetings. And I think it's been intimated out during the course of the end of this meeting. We've had trust and respect for each other. I mean, that doesn't always appear in local authorities. In fact, it's very rare, but we have. And we have worked at that over the years, and we've got to a stage where it is like a family. And I'm grateful that as a family, we've been able to move the authority forward for the benefit of its customers, residents, whatever you like to call them. And I think we have. We have got it wrong on occasions, and no doubt new authority will get it wrong as well. But you've got to take it as an opportunity to learn and improve. And I think that's exactly what we have done. And we have certainly constantly learnt as we've gone through our time as an executive. So on that note, I will thank you all for your attendance today and look forward to seeing you soon, very soon, I hope, and thank you very much for being here today. Thank you.